Nash Quinn is a metalsmith and jeweler whose work explores and plays with mechanical and industrial design. He was born in Wyoming and received his BFA from the University of Wyoming and later his MFA from the Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania. He specializes in pattern-formed enameled vessels, small-scale mechanisms, and explores industrial and architecture-inspired jewelry and miniatures. Some of his earliest published work includes this collection of jewelry that he released in 2017. During this time, he was focused heavily on the forms of buildings and architecture, and he began incorporating enamel into his work. Unfortunately, titles were unavailable for these pieces. A large percent of his work is enameled vessels that he assembles through creatively designed tabs that lock into corresponding holes. He starts with a precise template that he hand cuts and then shapes and interlocks the small tabs. He then enamels the vessel and adds delicate turned or carved wooden feet and handles. His work that most interests me is his spring and trigger mechanism rings. In this collection, he created 3 unique designs for tiny functioning catapult rings that he calls fling rings. Also in this collection, he designed 3 spring-loaded trigger rings that feature woodworking and feathers, as well as another trigger ring that features gold plating and powder coating. The significance of his work is in how unique it is. He focuses not only on beauty, but also function, and isn't afraid to make work for the simple purpose of inspiring joy in its viewers. I am very fascinated by Nash Quinn's work. I had not seen anything by him before this, and I am amazed by how well thought out yet simple the construction of his pattern-formed enamel vessels are. While watching his process for these pieces, I was shocked at how simple it was to replicate, but also impressed by how creative and interesting the pattern was. His approach to vessel making is one that I have never seen and wouldn't have thought of, but I really love how it looks. The first artist whose work reminded me of Nash Quinn is Chung-Hee Chu. Her work includes many beautifully crafted copper and silver electroformed cups and teapots in abnormal and organic forms. For me, her work is related to Nash Quinn's because they both have very unique ways of making vessels out of metal, and they both often use natural and organic shapes in their work. The next artist that I believe relates to Nash Quinn's work is Sid Rowley. Sid is a jeweler and metalsmith that focuses on vessel necklaces, but also experiments with spring and trigger mechanisms. I see parallels with Nash Quinn's fling rings and the spring mechanisms on Sid Rowley's containers. The final artist that I see similarities with is Jin-Sun Io. Jin-Sun is a jeweler who makes incredibly creative kinetic rings. I see huge similarities in the delicacy and details of Jin-Sun Io's and Nash Quinn's ring mechanisms.